Last episode, we installed OpenClaw on my Mac Mini. We got Henry alive on Telegram. 7 days later, that single agent became a full team of 5 agents, running 12 plus automated jobs, scanning 3 email accounts with a fully local model, and compiling a daily morning brief, posting on Discord, and tracking everything through a custom mission control dashboard. We're not building anything step by step today. I'm going to show you what actually happened, what is working, and what it actually cost. Let's dive right in. Just quickly, I wanted to show you here our mission control and talk a little bit about the team I started to build out. You might have seen something similar before, but this is my org chart. Basically, here I'm building out my different departments, my agents, my sub-agents. I'm at the top as the CEO, then Henry that you saw last week that I created. Now, since then, I created kind of 4 departments, which is my engineering department, which would be anything coding related. My research department, which is all about researching the internet, researching YouTube and X on the latest AI news, creating a backlog of things to implement, and also feeding the other departments with new knowledge. They can call on Ivy, my research agent. Then I have a security department, basically my agent Knox, who's constantly tracking costs, API usage, making sure that nothing is out of the norm, no files get opened that are not connected to any agent activity, and so on and so forth, basically monitoring my whole setup in terms of security. Now, my last department is basically content and social media. Here we have an agent called Mr. X. Here I will build out as much as I can to optimize my social media posting, my content posting, and also anything YouTube related. Let's quickly talk about each agent, because in each department, I have one agent that is persistent, is not a sub-agent, is also working 24/7. Same like Henry, they never sleep, they're always proactive, they're always pushing things forward. So I have Henry in my brain working on Opus 4.6. He is the smartest, he is my direct communication. To him, I talk through Telegram and Discord most of the time. He manages my team, he delegates, he makes sure they perform, he makes sure their jobs and their outputs are good. Now, Nexus is my CTO, my Chief Technical Officer. He's currently running on Sonnet 4.5, a significantly cheaper model. He can also use Opus 4.6 when he is planning a certain coding task, but for the execution at this point, we use Sonnet 4.5. I gave Nexus a GitHub account so he can clone my repositories, my code projects. He can create PRs, pull requests that I can review, and he is not allowed to merge. He doesn't have that functionality. And obviously there are a lot of restrictions that come to his GitHub account and how I invited him. Maybe that will be a future episode, how I set that up exactly. But yeah, Nexus is doing anything that is related to coding. My idea is that in each department, I will have one persistent agent that is always awake and that is always pushing things forward. And he will obviously have a lot of API keys and also sub-agents to work out different departments. So that's currently my idea. My research agent Ivy, she currently has 3 API keys. That is the Perplexity API key to search the web efficiently. She has a YouTube API key so she can search YouTube, watch my channel, but also watch a list of 20 influencers that I'm following personally. She can summarize their videos, pull their transcripts, pull their ideas, and put that also, for example, in a morning brief that I have configured. And she has the X API key, so she has access to Twitter, to the X platform. Also there, she's following certain influencers, currently looking at trending tweets and so on. And she passes also some research and informations on to Mr. X, who is then drafting X tweets for me, who gives me new YouTube scripts on current ideas and trending topics. Similar API keys here and the setup for Mr. X. Here is the X API key and also the Google API key. And I've slowly built out each department or each agent with more and more skills. So now Knox, our security agent, we kind of already discussed. That's the current state of my organization. Clearly, each department will be built out. Maybe down the line, I will need another department. Now let's have a quick look at my mission control center. As you can see here, we have different categories here on the side that we can look into. We have the dashboard that is basically showing me the active agents that we currently have, how long it's running, the docs that have been created, and some recent activity. Then on the task board, here's where we manage all the to-dos, the backlog, what we plan to do this week, what's in progress, and what's done. So basically this keeps an overview of the whole project. Now we have a new approval channel. This is not 100% active yet, but you can see this will be for tweet drafts on X. There are some copy options. I can choose a copy option that I like and I'll use an image. They also have the Nano Banana API key, so they can generate images. This is just work in progress, but step by step they will get better. There are always 2 images with me and 2 images that are more generic. Clearly we're gonna work more on the prompts and on the images that they get better. But like that, I could basically choose here this copy with this image, and then I can approve. And that way my agent, Mr. X, can go and post that with the X API directly to my account. So that's pretty cool. That's something we're building out, and this will be more and more built out with all my social media platforms, but I think that is pretty awesome. The org chart we already looked at is my team, then my YouTube channel. Here, that is also something we're building out, my YouTube analytics, just to be informed and always have a good overview of where we stand. This here, we're gonna dig much deeper, look into proper KPIs of how each video is performing, how the click-through rate is, and elaborate strategies and tips to use based on the outputs here. It's a very early stage, but we're also scanning my YouTube channel. Then we have the logs tabs. Here's basically the live logs of my OpenClaw instance, just to see what is working, what is not working. We see the container, Docker containers that are running, especially the research agent that is scraping the web and searching the web. I have it run in a Docker container. So if it would get prompt injected, for example, or anything like that, Ivy or my research agent can only share what is in the container, which would be her specific API keys, but she cannot access the folder with all the API keys shared and all the data, generally everything that we have saved on the computer, right? So there's an extra safety layer there. Also for my email scanner, we will get into that later. I'm using a local model, downloaded it through Olama. I'm using Quen. It scans all my email accounts, but here as well, I'm using a Docker container for safety. It's a local model, so the information never leaves my computer. Here, I don't have the Anthropic or OpenAI API key involved because I want my email information that also sometimes has sensitive information stay locally on my computer. You will see the scheduled jobs, whether they ran, which ones are pending. We see recent outputs of documentations and so on, but basically a logging page. Here is a chat which opens the original GUI from OpenClaw, that in case the gateway crashes and I cannot chat directly through Telegram or Discord, or something is going wrong with communication channel, that would be like another instance how I can activate or chat to my bot. Cost tracking, also interesting. I'm using the API from Anthropic, and yes, in 1 week we managed to spend already $600. That is definitely a cost to be worried about. I think mainly now that we're setting everything up and it's a bit of back and forth on the planning, which is a little bit more intensive on Henry, the Opus 4.6 brain, which is obviously the most expensive model. So currently I see it as a bit of a setup cost. I will evaluate switching maybe to OpenAI, a cheaper model down the line. I will also maybe evaluate if it's possible to have a $200 max subscription on Anthropic. Currently, they have been banning a few people. I don't want to go there yet. But here we have a cost tracking, and then we have some general settings. Well, that's the current state of my mission control. I hope you get inspired and you can take something away from that. Let's quickly talk about my communication channels and how I set this up. We already talked about the mission control, which is also very nice, but here are the two options how I talk to my agent. So here basically I can talk to my chief of staff Henry, which is my Telegram channel, which is really cool because I can send audios from my phone. I'm always in touch with Henry. It's very simple, very easy. However, this is only one channel. So everything gets mixed in there when we talk about how to set up agents, about AI news, about other topics, a morning brief. Everything is in one channel, and it does get a bit messy. If I'm looking for some particular info, I need to scroll a bunch. It kind of gets lost. Hence, Discord makes a lot of sense. If you set up a Discord channel, you can just create all these different channels, and you can get specific news or specific topics according to their category. That's number one. And number two is that here you can see I have my agents all separately here. So I can talk to Ivy, my research agent, Nexus, my CTO, Mr. X, or my security officer directly. So here I created basically a communication channel to all my agents, which is pretty cool because in Telegram, I'm only talking to Henry. To be able to talk to all the agents, I needed to create 5 different bots. In Discord, you can create bots and you can give them permissions. You can name them. You will need to give them permissions to write messages, read message history, and view channels. That's about it. And you would need to add every single one and then copy the kind of secret or code and add that so they can all have access to Discord. I will probably make a separate episode of how I did that more specifically, but just to give you a rough idea here. So that's pretty cool. And then you can see here I have an inbox channel. In my inbox channel, I can post YouTube videos, URLs, YouTube links, and we would be summarizing and saving the most important ideas. So here I would get a lot of inspiration of what other influencers or other people are doing with OpenClaw, or some coding skills, some coding news with AI coding, anything that is interesting. My agent summarizes and saves in Obsidian. I have connected my OpenClaw to Obsidian, another topic to talk about another time, but that's pretty cool. I can post articles, YouTube links, whatever, it gets summarized and saved. Then I have an approved channel, similar to the other one in the mission control. Here will just get updated. It is very fresh. It is not in action yet. Here I can approve, for example, anything that get posted or any script that might get posted onto my social media accounts. I can also approve whether Henry is allowed to make a calendar entry or a entry in my Trello board as a to-do. And basically everything that needs approval, it can be managed through here, but also in the mission control. Then in AI news, I would get AI news. As you can also see here, the top AI news, it's part of the morning brief, but I would also get it here in my specific channel. So I can go back to that and look at that even here with some links. So that's really cool. Then also here the morning brief appears, that also I get in my Telegram channel. So I would have it in both, but then I can also navigate to some ideas in the morning briefs, for example, for a couple of days ago. If I just need to remember, I can go back here easily and find it, and I don't need to scroll in Telegram forever to find past morning briefs. Now, a really cool function that I implemented a couple of days ago is the email scanning. We talked about this when we were in the mission control. A local model, Gwen, is doing that. extracting basically high-level JSON data out of my emails that are then fed to Henry. No details, just very high level. And Henry then kind of prepares that prompt for me. So I would get high priority emails. I would get flagged like bills that I have, things I need to pay, action needed where I need to reply. Look, from 3 accounts, they scanned 448 emails in the last 4 hours. So that's a massive help across all my different businesses and things that I'm doing. They scan and read my email, and I am notified of important actions that I need to be doing. So that's really cool. Here in the work section, I would have a channel regarding to kind of each department, either the research, development, security, or social media. Here we are posting things that get done or things that they need input from according to the department and the topic. Then at content, so far we have a YouTube channel. I will obviously add an X channel and a LinkedIn channel and all of that. But here we would get finalized YouTube scripts and ideas. As you can see, it's also very fresh. It's all in the making. We're building out these departments and functionality as we speak. I just quickly wanted to give you guys an update. Currently here, Mr. X has posted in social media already some YouTube ideas and concepts, and this will be elaborated on, approved, then we can write a full script and make other posts out of it. But yeah, everything here is in the making, and then talking to my agents we already talked about. That's about it. That's my current update. We have built out an initial team of agents that will work for me and help me 24/7. We have built out a mission control with the first categories with cost tracking and security measures and logging and all of that. We've built out my Discord server with many channels and categories and automations that are running and will be built out. I hope you get inspired by what you see. I will be diving in deeper on how I did everything, like the Discord setup, the email setup, or the GitHub setup. So if you want to know more specifically, drop down in the comments, let me know what you want to know. But I am planning on diving a bit deeper into how I set it up, how I made sure everything is secure, how I limit the access of the agents. If you like what you see, please subscribe, leave a comment, and hopefully see you in the next episode.